Muy buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches a todos. ¿Cómo les va? Mi nombre es Edgar Rojas. Bienvenido a otro Conversando con CISOs. Hoy tenemos dos, digamos, invitados de lujo. Algunos de ustedes ya los conocen. A Elizabeth Wharton de Wharton de SCYTHE y Ryan English de CYBRARY, o el señor inglés, como ya lo bautizamos en Colombia. Antes de comenzar con ellos, las invitaciones, si ya se dieron cuenta, ya tenemos las fechas para el próximo evento, mayo 17, 18. Venga, me muevo un poquito hacia aquí de lado para que vean. Guys, look who's coming. Para que vean quién viene. Andrea Limbago, Wendy Nater, Lydia Costopoulos, Veronica Toscano. You know, I just noticed this, and without even thinking about it, it's more women than men. Yeah, I didn't even think about it. Mike Kaiser y TK Canini. Si no saben quiénes son ellos, búsquelos en LinkedIn, son impresionantes. Así que mayo 17 y 18. La charla de hoy es una charla interesante. Ryan y Liz estuvieron con nosotros hace unas 3 semanas en el evento de CISOS LATAM SUMMIT en Santa Marta, y la conversación con ellos va a ser qué aprendieron, qué lecciones aprendieron ellos de todos los CISOs que estuvieron presentes. Porque aunque ellos vinieron a compartir su experiencia y su conocimiento con nosotros, ellos también aprendieron muchas cosas de los CISOs presentes. Así que vamos a conversar con ellos acerca de sus lecciones. So, Liz, Ryan, thank you so much. That was a long way. You know, I like to talk a lot. That's a long way to introduce you and the whole show. First of all, May 17, 18. Oh my God. That lineup is amazing. I'm like,
yeah,
oh, wow.
that's impressive.
It's impressive. Just Andrea and Mike with his little hat and everything. I got my hat too. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You got
Let's
the
do
hat
hats.
thing
You're
going on.
right.
Let's do
Sombrero
hats.
Oh, there you go. The only one is Liz is out. There you go. Gonna be a hat game over there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So first of all, I really want to say thank you both for being part of the team that was with us a couple of weeks ago. It's 2-3 weeks ago already. My God.
Time flies.
Yeah. So first, your thoughts on the event, the quality of the attendees. Start with Liz, ladies first.
Well, and to the extent I still need to work on my Spanish, but muchas gracias to everyone who attended and participated and added to the conversation. Really some from my workshop discussions, learning about where the different organizations and everyone is the challenges facing getting the C-suite, the executive buy-in. And of course, we couldn't have timed the Sullivan trial decision any, I'd say, better, but it was fascinating to be able to weave that into the conversations as well. So really great, great discussion. So thank you to everyone. And I love the brainstorming on how do you frame the conversation and the risks and put it into that perspective for all the executives say, hey, this isn't something out here. This is your budget, your butt on the line.
Yeah, excellent. Ryan.
Mucho gusto, everybody. It's a pleasure to be doing this again. And what this one was different from the last one you did in Cartagena because you set the environment up differently, Ed. And I felt like that the way that we got to be right there on a table in the middle of everybody attending was how I got a few good ideas for work, some things that we're going to be doing at the office.
Nice.
I didn't know that it was going to be, that much of a give and take. And it turned out to be way better than I thought. The other thing I learned is I should have possibly transcribed my notes into Spanish before I came down just in case. Because when I looked around the table, I saw so much, like everybody was so eager to learn and to pick things up. You know, they had the effort that everybody took to get there. Everybody that was in the room, you know, was really sharp and looking at how they could pick up more knowledge. And on my first table, even though I had some really great help from Karen to translate for me, I felt like I might have let him down a little bit. I started to, you know, first, I'm also really grateful to you for getting all those notes from all of us back out to all the CISOs. Ed, so that was that. Yeah, I started to email everybody back, and it just was going to take a long time. So I'm going to keep you know, contacting them individually, but I want to make sure if anybody had questions that they would send them in, because there had to be some translation lost somewhere. But the fact that we were able to follow up meant a lot to me, because that meant the rest of the message got out. But you know what, primarily what was important was I got some ideas we took back to work, and my boss, David Maynor, decided to do something where, and you spoke to this earlier today with the MITRE attack framework. We've already decided to go all the way through the MITRE attack framework and actually do a video, like a 3 to 5 minute video for each of the attack sequences that you might find in the MITRE framework.
I need that.
Yeah. And so, like, you can read about everything in MITRE and take the class that we offer. That's great. We're going to make it that much better, because it occurred to us that the lost in translation part is universal. And if you could just watch a video of somebody going through it, and it's going to take forever. It's a big library. MITRE's got a lot of stuff, but you know, Dave's idea was like, why let them lose it in translation when we can just do a video with a voiceover and you see it. And that's one of the great things that came out of you know, me being down there at your conference, Ed. It was just a way to innovate for a bigger audience, and it was great.
That's beautiful, and that's one of the things that I noticed, right? I mean, again, when I organize these events, right, I had the idea, I bring the experts, I bring you experts, and then hopefully the regional CISOs see, right, the quality. And the whole idea was, I was telling some of the CISOs, it's, you know, if not all of them can afford to fly to RSA. I mean, I can't afford to fly to RSA.
Yeah.
We can hang out with you guys there, right?
Yeah.
The company pays for it. So
yeah.
It's like, we bring you guys down there. And the cool thing is that you're open to it. You're like, sure, let's go. Because as CISOs, as leaders, that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that everyone understands and knows the latest thing. One of the things that I noticed is, as you said, the conversation, Liz, when you were saying, right, the brainstorming, the interactions. And to me, it was amazing. The first session, everyone, you know, the first few minutes, it was like, what's going on? You know, do we talk? This is weird. You know, do we talk? Whatever. And then after that, after the first set of questions, like Liz, in your table at the beginning, there were only 3 people. Because for some reason, mathematically impossibility, everyone in Liz's table number 1 came in late. Everyone out of, you know, 50 CISOs, everyone on the table came in late. I'm like, that's impossible, but it happened. But in that conversation, Liz started asking questions, and they started to talk, not to Liz anymore, but started to talk amongst themselves. I thought that was amazing.
Well, and especially because you have it's such a wide range of experience, both in careers as well as length of time with the companies, that they were giving each other advice on how to deal with challenges and mentoring you don't get at a conference where you're just sitting in the audience listening to a speaker, and then maybe you talk at lunch. So Ed, that was brilliant how you wove that aspect into the first day.
Yeah, and the cool thing when I asked them the homework that I gave them, that at the end of the second day, they should walk away with at least 3 contacts. At the end of the second day, they've actually created a CISOS WhatsApp group. WhatsApp is widely used in Latin America. They themselves created a CISOS WhatsApp group. And that group right now is up to like 47, 48 people.
That's awesome.
And we have 46 CISOs today. So,
yeah.
So it's increasing, but that's community, and that's all thanks to you. Do you think, does that happen in the States? Or is that just a cultural thing, do you think?
Maybe both. I mean, you can go to the smaller conferences like you know, the B-sides and ShmooCon or something. And if you go to them and you want to try to meet people and make some friends, you put the effort out, okay, you'll make some friends. You can't do that at RSA.
Exactly.
Black Hat, maybe you bump into people, you get a conversation going at the bar. But what you created is something totally different. You know, you've brought people, even though it wasn't on an island, imagine you brought people to an island, right? And there's just nothing around that would distract. And everybody's there for a few days. And we're all there for the same reason. To be honest with you, Ed, from the first one I went to in 2018, where I was only attending because Liz was talking, we made friendships there with pretty much half the people that are up on that board behind you.
Yes.
We made friendships there. The speakers, the speakers made friendships there that are still friendships. Like we talk to each other like almost daily, because now that's the community sense that we got from being down there. And I would hope that the CISOs that you've brought in and the ones that you continue to bring in are added to this list of people who can say, well, where'd you meet this person? Oh, I met him at Tactical Edge. You know, somebody else in Argentina right now is saying, oh, I met you at that Tactical Edge 2 years ago. Friends for life.
Exactly.
And, you know, one of the things we were talking about was sharing intel, things like that in your community. Well, you just made one. Yeah. You just instantly made one. Yeah. And I hope that they take it.
I was gonna say, and it doesn't have the constraints of, you know, like with either industry required threat intel sharing. You know, you're kind of guarded, you're on edge, but the conversations that at least I saw in person, and I can only imagine further on WhatsApp, are the legitimate, real, the genuine conversations of, oh man, I'm seeing this threat, and not just, oh, the official line is this. It's like, dude, what do I do?
Right.
And
that's the other thing. Yeah. It's, you know, Liz knows there are group chats in certain Slack channels that are made up only of people who can have vetted or vouched for the next member. Okay. And in those groups, so everybody is a member that belongs to a previous member. So if somebody shares something that's TLP red and somebody down the chain exposes that, well, then they throw that member out and the guy. My point is, these are some very valuable Slack channels, right, Liz? Like these are places where behind the scenes remediations or behind the scenes attack patterns are revealed inside these groups first, and then maybe some writer covers it a week later. But in these groups, you get like really fresh, hot intel by the people in the company who are dealing with a problem, not the company spokesman. Later on, it's like the CISO handling this hot potato, right? Like these are the places that we have in certain Slack channels here. Now you're able to build those throughout your network there. Like they're getting an opportunity to build their own independent like Slack channels for emergencies or for help that didn't exist before.
And
amazing.
Across
industries and across countries. Like now they have one piece of trust. I met you at a place. We've seen each other.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah. You've created a trust environment.
Wow.
And sure, it'll grow. There'll be people introduced to it that weren't there, but they're like, hey, you met me. This is my guy. I vouch for him. Let's bring him into the circle.
And
You've
that's
created
happening.
that, Ed.
And
You know,
that's what's happening. Go ahead, Liz.
yeah, that's what's happening.
It's an added or value add to
Yes.
anyone coming into a role or with their organization, because they can say, hey, I'm connected and I'm getting information. So those organizations almost have a running head start when when a new threat or a new issue pops up. They can say, oh, this is how my colleagues at this company fixed it. Or, hey, I hear this software, this whatever is having an issue. Have you heard anything?
Mm-hmm.
And it's that extra value that they're going to be able to bring. Basically, they should thank you for the business that you will enable them to ask for, because they're doing their job that much better.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, again, it's not the same reading it on LinkedIn, on cyber hacker news or whatever, that somebody shared it with you. You're like, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah, they don't have to say, well, if you share it on LinkedIn and you ask somebody, hey, I'm implementing a new whatever framework for something. Does anybody have any experience with that? If you put that out to the world on LinkedIn, you got to go through a lot of responses that are going to be useless, and some of them are salesy. Some of them are made by salespeople. If you build a group where it's like, anybody got any experience with this? And then the people who get back to you are the ones who actually do.
So I tell you, in our Twitter group, you know about a person in Bogota that supposedly got a ransomware message through. It's a contact of mine and ours. And actually, to that WhatsApp group, I'm like, does anybody know anyone who's an expert on this, and local?
Mm-hmm.
I had 5 recommendations, and she's already working with one of them. So that's the power of community. I love that. I love that very much. And talking to Veronica Toscano yesterday, when I was trying to convince her to say, yes, come to Colombia, she asked me that question, why, what drives you to do this event? And I said, I realized I like building communities, and I'm kind of good at it. So I don't know. Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
What were your impressions of the local CISOs? Were they like dealing with technology and issues from 5 years ago, or were they dealing with issues that are every CISO is dealing with nowadays? What were your impressions? Were they like behind the times, or they're like, no, they're dealing with the same issues we're all dealing with?
What do you think, Liz? I got an answer.
Okay, everyone is always constrained by budget.
Yes.
Doesn't matter how big or how small, at the end of the day, that's going to be a challenge. And also that buy-in support from within their organization. You can have the best practices. So it was, I'd say, great, but I felt bad. My heart goes out to anyone battling those challenges, but I think they are, they cross borders, language barriers, stuff like that. So not refreshing, but it was fascinating to see. It's like, oh, okay, maybe it looks a little different, but these are the same challenges that you're having to deal with.
Yeah, communicating with the board, trying to get buy-in, as you said, it's the same idea. I like the conversation. Sorry, Ryan.
Go ahead.
You had, Liz, one of the first conversations that you said to them, you have to put it into what's important to the business and not important to your technology, because you're looking at it from a technology perspective. And then somebody in that table said, well, there's different types of CISOs, the technology focused CISOs, and there's business focused CISOs and process focused. No, not one of those CISOs is incorrect. That's what I love that conversation. I was like, and I don't know, you picked it up because it was on Spanish, but I love that conversation. I'm like, this is what we wanted to have. This is a CISO workshop. CISO workshop. That's all
Yeah.
about that exchanging.
Well, and it's a reminder, some of the stuff that Ryan and CYBRARY are working on is how do you identify the languages, the pain points, and how do you translate all those different, you know, because at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, how do I hit at the heart of what's important to them, what are their priorities, because really it's about talking to, like, okay, what's important to my boss, what's important to my board. And, you know, is Brian, I was really sad I didn't get to see any of your talks of dealing with, you know, being able to translate from even across industries and really what you're working on, that some of those key issues are the same. It doesn't matter if you're protecting a network or protecting a mission and and now I'm going to forget the word, principle or.
Yeah, that's right. That's the right word. Yeah.
What's up, Ryan?
Yeah, that's true. It is, and it was also, I also found it to be revealing that those guys, and one other thing I noticed, there's a lot of younger CISOs in the room, and that made me really happy, because I often wonder, in the States, a lot of the people you meet that are at the CISO level are in their 50s. They may have been converted over to the tech side from a different background in management. And one of the things that you see is that they get the business sides of things, but sometimes not the technology sides of things, because they business in the States kind of moved them across to where they became CISOs. A lot of the guys in the room and girls in the room were younger, and I got the feeling that they were a little bit more in touch with the technical side of what it meant to be a CISO, and that I think is good for the future, because they've got a better idea of the constraints of what the technology can and can't do. And in the conversations, they might not be deeply technical, but they have enough of an understanding that they get where you want them to go a lot quicker. So that was an interesting thing, but the same problems: money, time, staffing, the demand from above to get it all perfect all the time. Those things don't change anywhere. And that probably exists everywhere there's technology ever is going to be those things.
Yeah, it's going to be the same everywhere. So
yeah.
Good. One of the things that I liked that Liz mentioned, and Ryan, maybe you mentioned, that they were eager to learn. And I know, I know that I've always seen that. That's why when I put on these events and I bring everyone, you see them and their expression, they're paying attention, right?
Yeah.
I didn't see too many of them on the phones while doing the conversation. Maybe a couple of them, because it's part of their work and they have to.
Yeah.
But I didn't see a lot of that. I saw a lot of them really focused and wanting to learn. I love that.
Yeah, when I was at RSA last year, I remember being at a talk and I looked around. I was late, so I came in and I was at the very back, and I'm looking around during the talk, and all I see are heads, like the back of people's heads, and they're pointed down because everybody's looking at their phone, you know, and you're wondering, like, all the money that it took to get a pass to RSA and fly out here and pay for these expensive hotels, and these people are just not writing notes like me. I got a piece of paper right now. I'm writing notes, and you know, I always do it. But if I'm looking down, I got a pen in my hand, I'm writing notes. These were people just sitting there typing on their phone, and I'm thinking, you know, this is crazy. And then a day later, I went to go see Wendy give a talk, and you see people's heads up. You know, the back in their eye line, you could see, and they're asking questions, and then Wendy would say something, you know, sort of like new, or, you know, had some statistics that, and people would question it. I think it's a combination, Ed, of like the people that you get to talk and the crowd that they're talking to are both eager to be there, eager to present, eager to learn. And there's a lot of electricity. Like when I know I'm going to do something like this, and I know everybody down there really is expecting a lot, I feel more challenged to come and do the best I can. And that changes how I think the reception is. If you got a room full of people eager to learn, that person up on the stage has to be
Ready.
presenting,
Yeah.
con gusto with the, and
Yeah, with a lot of passion, a lot of heart.
yeah.
At least-
It makes
And part of it is, and I love how you're doing it, it's because you're curating. You have
Yes.
to be invited to participate across the board. You're not participating because your boss thought it was a great idea or it's a boondoggle. I don't even know if that even translates well, but basically just, just a wild adventure of like, hey, because you do pick some great locations, but that's not why. It's more because it's like, oh, I'm going to have this opportunity, and the way you craft these conversations, the attendees, it's like absolute. I mean, the dancing and the food and all that is fun. That is just, but that's icing on the cake. You bring in great vendors to demo some amazing new concepts. You bring in folks like Ryan, who are very interesting. Shameless plug for Bryson, because I have to talk well about my boss.
Absolutely.
But
people love Bryson. I mean, they're still talking about Bryson.
Who doesn't, though? Bryson's just an engaging speaker, and he's excited about the solutions that and the problems that he's talking about. So
I tell you one thing. Well, you keep talking about Bryson. One of the things that everyone from the CISOS group, the CISOs that attended, that they love, is that none of you were there selling, right? None of you said, whenever they ask you a question, none of you said, well, you can buy this thing and install it. That wasn't anywhere. And in Bryson's table, they asked Bryson, well, does your product do that? And Bryson said, well, yes. Well, can we see it? Not today.
Yeah.
He said,
right.
And I love this, and this gets me. He said, today I'm teaching you. Tomorrow I'm selling. The next day, if you want to come to my stand, I'll sell it, everything you want. But today I'm here to teach you. So I love that. And I think the CISOs present love that too. And that helped tremendously with everything. The atmosphere was incredible. And again, the content, it's good. It was varied, right? And like you said, list the sponsors, you and Tanium and Dark Trace leading those. It was very high level. And in fact, because of you, the Taniums and Dark Trace, they had to elevate. They had no choice. And that just added to the conversation, because people were telling me, wow, the Dark Trace presentation that Gabriel did was really, really good information. I'm like, oh, good. That's beautiful. I wish I would have known, the information that he gave. I didn't have a chance to participate. But anyway, what else do you think that you got out of the of that event that you would like to see continue, or any suggestions to make the event better from your perspective for the CISOs present, or for you when you come back and lead and take the workshops? So with Liz.
Yeah, no, and we were talking just to tease out to people, taking that workshop concept where we were having the tabletop discussions, but what happens if we move it into more of a hands-on, not demonstration necessarily, but learning in that environment? I mean, because especially when you've got companies like CYBRARY sending Ryan to participate, when you've got experts like Wendy and Bryson, where we have, like with Scythe, we create a platform that's a learning environment or geared towards learning as well. That really, I think that's the next progression for some of this, of that blend that you're creating. Because also, who doesn't want to, between Mike Kaiser and some of your other speakers, who doesn't want to learn from them?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm coming down in May just to sit and watch Mike, to watch TK, to watch Wendy, to watch Andrea. Like, I would come down there just to be a student
Yeah.
and learn from them anywhere those guys are teaching. The people you get, I mean, those are the ones that are talking at RSA. Like, I'd rather put my money into flying down there. But to answer your original question, that's also why, like, when we were just talking before the recording began about doing a workshop where we could capitalize on what SCYTHE can do, what we could do at CYBRARY, for instance, and to do the different types of trainings together, you know, I think that people are motivated enough to come down there and be a part of Tactical Edge that we'll come up with new ways to train. Yeah. And new ways to do things to make it innovative, to get invited back, you know?
Well, yeah, and if you think about it, you know, CYBRARY's courses, you're paying, like, if you go pay to see them, or like SCYTHE, if you go to one of our workshops during Black Hat, you're paying thousands of dollars
for a
workshop. And the fact that we can help educate and bring that $3,000 workshop down to a tactical edge and bring it to them, so that the CISOs don't have to fly to Las Vegas. I mean, of course, if they want to fly to Las Vegas, or in CYBRARY, the on demand, like, but to bring it so that CYBRARY is providing those platforms, and they have some really cool stuff they're doing. Ryan, I don't know if y'all have released it to the public yet. But it's like learning AI, like really cool stuff that will like mesh really well with some of the stuff that you're educating. But to have access to that in your own backyard, that's pretty next level. I mean, Ed, I don't know how you're going to top it.
I'm writing over here. I'm like, well, to do something with that, it'll have to be at least 3 days. And I'm
I see what you
twist our arms, to hang out with some of the like best infosec minds in the industry. From like LATAM and everything. Like, don't think I can manage that. No.
It's it's funny that Liz mentioned there was a course that my boss David wanted to take in at Black Hat. The course that he wanted to take was an evolution of techniques, to a red team or attack any systems that, these are things he's known how to do for years, but he wants to see what the next level, what the kids are doing, right? So next generation. And in his words, like, I know the hard way into everything, but I'd like to learn a couple of the easy ways too. So this course was $5,000 at Black Hat. $5,000 course, 4 days, something like that, 4.5 days. He just took it this week remotely. It was offered at $3,000. Okay, cool. Imagine if we can get David to come down, let's say next year in October, and teach, distill what he learned from that course and add to it what he already knows. And we're doing it down there. It's a pleasure for us to be there, and somebody can show up and take the course, and it isn't going to be thousands of dollars, like outrageous amounts of money, to be at Black Hat for the pleasure of being in Las Vegas and being hot all day in August. The heck are you talking about? I'd rather be
hot all day in Cartagena.
I'd rather be hot all day in Cartagena, where at least there's some, coconut lemonades to go around, and
the infamous beaches over there,
and the beaches, like, there's none of that feeling in Las Vegas.
That's a great idea. So let me work on how we can add an extra day just for hands-on workshops. I'll talk.
Well, there you go. Yeah,
I'll talk it over with the CISOs on the channel and see if they're up to it, because at the end of the day, right, it's going to add cost to it, obviously, and somebody has to see those costs.
So but it's optional.
It's optional.
It's not, and that format at Black Hat actually turns out to be pretty good if your company wants to throw a few extra. At Black Hat it's ridiculous, but imagine you're going anyway, pick up some training if you want to stay a little longer, and it makes sense that you could also evolve that once a year, let's say, over at a Tactical Edge, where people have the opportunity not just to learn something, but to sit in the room and ask questions. That's where I learn best, is
That's awesome.
being able to, you know,
That's awesome.
that's not a bad idea.
It's that hands-on and
Yeah.
getting to do it, not just be talked to about it, but
Right.
see it in action, you know, see some of this, these attacks, see what's getting picked up, or see how they're doing it, so that you can better translate it even, you know, both down the chain to your team, or, you know, folks you're working with, but also up the chain, and being able to say, hey, let me put it realistically, here's where we're going to see it, and this is what it's going to mean.
Right.
That context.
Absolutely. Wow. So I want to work on that. So lessons learned.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But I really, really appreciate Ryan, Liz, both of you being here, and, you know, both of you for coming down and sharing your time and your expertise with our CISOs. I know they're going to get a kick out of it. So as we finish this, I'm going to upload and then let them know, go find it. Yeah, we got Mr. El Señor Inglés, and we got beautiful Liz. That's what they call you. They call you that, Liz. Beautiful Liz. Oh,
Wow. I knew I liked everyone.
All right, a todos, espero que les haya gustado este segmento de Conversando con CISOs. Nos vemos la próxima semana. Bendiciones a todos. Chaito.